Second, we must address Singaporeans' anxieties over foreign work pass holders. Work pass holders help expand our economy and create more opportunities for us. When we complement our own workforce with skills from around the world, more companies will invest here, and this then creates more jobs for Singaporeans. This is a virtuous cycle. Singaporeans understand this, that we need to welcome talent and expertise that our economy needs. However, when the number of work pass holders is large, our people naturally become worried about competition for jobs. The uncertainties of COVID-19 have worsened these anxieties. Work pass holders reinforce the team, but may also compete directly with their local colleagues. Sometimes the locals feel unfairly treated, for instance, when they miss out on being hired or promoted. Outside work, from time to time, there are also social frictions, because some work pass holders and their families have not fully adapted to our social norms, nor fully integrated into our society. I understand these anxieties and problems. The government is addressing them. We have to adjust our policies to manage the quality, numbers, and concentrations of foreigners in Singapore. If we do this well, we can continue to welcome foreign workers and new immigrants, as we must. Turning inwards is against our fundamental interests. It would damage Singapore's standing as a global and regional hub. It would cost us jobs and opportunities. Most importantly, it goes against our values of openness and of being accepting of others who are different from us. We uphold these values because they have anchored us and helped us progress over the years as a nation. I think, by and large, our policies, the major ones in Singapore, are in the right direction. They may need fine-tuning, adjusting. The rough edges have to be smoothed off, but we are heading in the right way. And I'd like to take two examples tonight of broad policy areas to give you a sense of how we should maintain our direction at the same time as we make this adjustment. Both important. And one of these policies is foreign workers and immigrants. It's not easy to maintain because these are policies where the benefits are there, but they are long-term. The downsides are immediate, the side effects are visible, and people react to them, and we have to respond to this. The foreign workers and immigrants we have taken have given us considerable benefits. Our economy has grown, our population has increased. But over the last few years, the changes have been taking place quite fast, and Singaporeans worry about the impact on them. Last year, I spoke of this at length in the rally, so I won't repeat the explanations which I gave you. Hopefully you remember what I said last year. I think that Singaporeans understand the logic of the policy, but the emotional impact, they still feel that, and that still causes worry and concern. So I empathize with this, and we are acting to relieve the pressures and to make clear that we are putting Singaporeans first. For jobs, we've let in a steady inflow of foreign workers into our economy at all levels. And because of that, our economy has thrived. And we have full employment. Everybody has a job. All Singaporeans, nearly every Singaporean is working. The unemployment is only about 2.2% overall. But still, I know that Singaporeans worry about competition from foreigners. So some time ago, I had a dialogue with young people, and one polytechnic student asked me this very direct question. He said, you know, you have the S-Pass for people who are one level above the work permits. Why do you set the S-Pass qualifying salary at $1,800? Why did he ask me that question? Because really what he meant was, $1,800 is less than what many poly diploma holders are earning. Poly diploma holders earn more than that. So if you set the level there, you are going to have people who will be earning less than us but competing against us. Why do you let a foreigner compete directly against me? And I understand those feelings, but we need some non-Singaporeans to complement the Singaporeans and to make up our shortfalls. But at the same time, we also realize that it's important that Singaporeans remain the core of our workforce. We cannot become like the Gulf states where 80% of the people who are working are foreigners, and if you go there, whether it's a person in a hotel, whether it's a bank, whether it's the airport counter, or any of the jobs, it's foreigners working. And we cannot be like that. So we've tightened up on foreigners progressively. We've tightened up the foreign workers levy. We've tightened up on the dependency ratios. The S-Pass, we've pushed from $1,008 to $2,000. So that's of some help to the poly diploma holders and people who are at that level. And therefore, we have protected Singaporean workers, especially at the lower end. But we also have to be mindful of the impact on companies, especially the local SMEs, because they need the foreign workers the most, and if we squeeze out the foreign workers too drastically, we're going to kill the SMEs. So we are helping the SMEs to adjust, grants, tax deductions, all sorts of schemes to help them to upgrade their productivity. And we have to bear that in mind when we settle our policies. At the top end of the workforce, we have to allow in high-quality professionals and entrepreneurs because they grow our businesses here and help Singapore compete internationally. So if you look at what we are doing, at the bottom we are tightening, at the top we have to be free, in between we have to make some adjustment. The middle, the lower middle level, foreigners are here, employment pass. Singaporeans are working, they're probably graduates or diploma holders, not hard up, not unskilled, but not so confident of themselves that they are ready for unrestrained competition. And feeling vulnerable, worried about what may happen. So I think at this middle level, we need to tighten a little bit further. We need to raise the salary requirement for the employment pass holders, tighten up their educational qualifications, make sure they come with real skills valuable to us. And this is something MOM has worked on and will announce details soon. And MOM will also work with tripartite partners so as to develop guidelines for fair employment practices and responsible recruitment practices, so that when you have a Singaporean working side by side with a foreigner, they both feel fairly treated and nobody feels that he's at a disadvantage. And this is something which will work together with the unions and the employers. But I should caution you on one thing. Just because we are tightening on foreign workers doesn't mean automatically that Singaporeans will get better jobs or higher pay. Because the competition isn't just a foreign worker here. You are competing with workers all over the world. And unskilled workers have felt this for a long time, but increasingly, our graduates and professionals are also seeing this happen. In China, every year, 7 million graduates graduate from university, double the number of Singaporeans there are. And of these, 1.5 million are engineering and science types. They're hungry, they're competitive, and they're competing furiously with one another in China. And I think the impact will be felt around the world for the next 20 years, and including us. So it's really a tidal wave, a tsunami coming in our direction, and the only way to get out of the trouble is to rise above the tsunami by training ourselves, developing expertise, and doing things which they can't do yet in China, but we can do now in Singapore, and making a living for ourselves in order that we can improve our lives. But even if we do that, we have to accept that if we bring down the number of foreigners, slow the inflow, it means slower growth. less economic growth, somewhat less vitality. Companies will come here not so vigorously, or they may choose to expand elsewhere. And we will have less resources to improve our lives. So, you've got to find the right balance. Yes, we will moderate and manage the foreign workers, but we have to bring in enough so that we have the manpower and the talent to grow and to prosper. So this is what we must do when it comes to putting Singaporeans first. Stay open, but moderate our policies, solve the problems. Whether it's housing, whether it's education, whether it's jobs. It's worked. We've brought global winners here, and we've created prosperity for Singaporeans.